Hello everyone. In this lecture, we will see what is the OSI reference model. As we all know, it is the most commonly accepted and used traditional layered network model. That is the open system interaction, which is developed by the International Organization of Standardization Reference Model. So here, the intercommunication between the host in any computer network, it may be a large scale or it may be a small scale. It is built on the premises of various task specific layers. So here the OSI reference model, it is a conceptual framework which will partition any networked communication device into 7 layers. That is, we are having 7 layers in the OSI reference model, and each layer performs distinct tasks based on the underlying technology and internal structure of the host. The 7 layers from the bottom are physical layer, then second is the data link layer, network layer, then comes the transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and last is the application layer. So here the OSI model, it is divided into two parts. That is, the first one is the media layers and second is the host layers. The media layer, it is formed from the first, second, and the third layer. Up to the network layer, it is the media layers, and from the transport layer, it is the host layers. So here the media layers, that is the 1, 2, and 3. These are responsible for the movement of data across the network from one physical location to the another. And host layer, that is 4, 5, 6, and 7. These layers live inside the computer devices and focus on the application data, formatting, and ensuring the two programs on either end can understand each other. So here in general, we can say that the media layers will say you how the message gets delivered, and the host layer will tell you what the message says. So this is the diagram of the OSI model where it shows the different layers and the responsibilities. And here you can see the first 3 layers from the bottom up to the network layer. These are called as the media layers. And here these 4 layers, that is a transport layer, session layer, and presentation layer, and the application layers, these are called as the host layers. Now here we will see first what is the physical layer. So physical layer, it is the media layer, and it is also referred to as the layer 1 of the OSI model. And here it interacts directly with the physical media, so because of which it is called as the media layer. That is, it is the only layer or the part of the OSI model which interacts directly with the actual physical media, that is the cables, light, or air, in order to carry the data. Now here the term media, it refers to the transmission lines. And the physical layer, it is responsible for taking care of the electrical and the mechanical operations of the host at the actual physical layer. And these operations include the signal generation and signal transfer, voltages, layout of the cables, then physical port layout, line impedances, signal loss, and many more. And this layer, it is also responsible for the topological layout of the network, that is whether it is a mesh, bus, star, or ring, and communication mode, that is whether it is a simplex, duplex, or full duplex communication. And the third one is the bit rate control operations, that is the speed at which the bits are sent across the transmission medium. And the protocol data unit which is associated with this layer, it is referred to as symbol. Now what is this protocol data unit? It is a single unit of information that is transmitted between the peer layers of the two different devices. That is called as the protocol data unit. So this was about the physical layer. So here in this diagram you can see you have signals, you have bit transmission, then this is transmitted through what? Cables, okay, cables, hubs, and repeaters and connectors. So the second layer is the data link layer in the OSI model. it is a media layer, and here it is referred to as a layer 2 of the OSI model. And the data link layer, it is mainly concerned with the establishment and the termination of the connection between the hosts and the detection and correction of errors during the communication between two or more connected hosts. And here IEEE 802, it divides the layer, that is the layer 2, into two sublayers. That is IEEE 802, it divides the data link layer into two sublayers. First one is the medium access layer, that is the MAC layer. Second is medium access control, that is the MAC. And second is the logical link control, that is the LLC. Now, what is this IEEE 802? IEEE 802, it refers to the family of technical standards which is maintained by IEEE. So IEEE full form is what? It is Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, which defines the rules for local area network and the metropolitan area network. And here the medium access layer, sorry, it is not medium, it is media. Media or medium you can write. So media access layer, it manages how devices physically access the transmission medium like cable or a radio frequency in order to prevent the collisions, and it is also responsible for access control and the permissions for connecting the network devices. So here next comes the logical link layer. So the logical link layer, it acts as an interface between the network software and the hardware, and it is mainly tasked with what? Error checking, flow control, and frame synchronization. And the protocol data unit which is used here is the frame. Now the flow control here, it is the mechanism which prevents a sender from transmitting the data faster than receiving node can process it. Okay, so what happens here in flow control? This flow control mechanism, it will prevent the sender from transmitting the data faster. Okay, it prevents the sending of the data faster from the sender so that the receiving node can process it. And next, frame synchronization, it is a process of identifying the exact beginning and end of the block of data within a continuous stream of bits. So next comes the network layer. This is also the media layer, and it is referred to as the layer 3 of the OSI model, and it provides a means of routing the data to various hosts connected to different networks through the logical paths, and this is called as the virtual circuit. Okay, what are virtual circuit? Here this network layer, it provides a means of routing data to various hosts hosts which are connected to different network through logical paths called as the virtual circuits. And these logical paths, these may pass through the intermediate host, that is the node, before reaching the actual destination. And the protocol data unit here associated with this layer, it is referred to as the packet. Okay, so the primary tasks which are associated, or the primary tasks of this layer are addressing, then sequencing of packets, congestion control, and error handling. Addressing, it is the system which is used to identify every device on a network uniquely. And as you know, without an address, a data packet wouldn't know where to go. Second is sequencing of packets. That is when you send a large file, it is broken into thousands of tiny pieces called as the packets, and these packets often take different routes through the internet and might arrive out of order. That is the sequencing of packets. Next is the congestion control, where it manages the overall health of the network. If too many computers sends too much data at once, then the routers in the middle gets overwhelmed like a traffic jam on the highway. Error handling, it is like the proofreading, where the data can get corrupted during the transmission due to electrical interference of the signal noise. So this error handling, it ensures that the data that arrives is exactly what was sent. Then next layer is the layer 4, that is the transport layer. It is the host layer. Up to network layer, those were the media layer. Now from the transport layer, these are the host layer, and this is the layer 4 of the OSI model. And the transport layer, it is tasked with the end-to-end recovery and the flow control, and this will achieve the transparent transfer of the data between the host. And here this layer is also responsible for tracking of the acknowledgements during the variable data transfer. And this variable length data transfer, it is the length of the messages or the length of the block quotes, it will be different. It will not be fixed here. So it will help tracking of acknowledgements during this variable length data transfer between the host. And in case of loss of data, or when acknowledgement is not received, then what it will do, then the transport layer, it will ensure that that the particular erroneous data segment, it is resent to the receiving host. Okay, so if acknowledgement is not received, then it will check, that is which data segment has not been received by the host, and it will resend it. Okay, and the protocol data unit which is associated with this layer is referred to as the segment or the datagram. Next layer is the session layer, which is the layer 5 of the OSI model. It is the host layer, and it is responsible for establishing, controlling, and terminating the communication between the network devices. And it sees the full utilization during the operations, such as the remote procedure calls, RPC, and the remote sessions. So here, remote procedure call, RPC, it is a protocol which allows a program on one computer to execute a function or a procedure on another computer as if it were a local call. And the remote sessions, these are like a temporary interactive connection between two computers, that is a local client and a remote server or host. And this will allow a user to interact with a computer in another location as if they were sitting directly in front of it. And the protocol data unit which is used here or which is associated with this layer is the data. So this was about the session layer. Next is the presentation layer. This is the layer 6 of the OSI model. It is also a host layer, and it is responsible for data format conversion and the encryption tasks, such that the syntactic compatibility of the data is maintained across the network, for which this layer, it is also known as the syntax layer. Okay, now what do you mean by syntactic compatibility? This refers to the ability of two systems to understand the structure, format, and the grammar of the data being exchanged. Okay, that is called as the syntactic compatibility. And here the protocol data unit which is associated with this layer, it is referred to as the data. And next is the application layer. So this is the host layer. Again, here this is the layer 7 of the OSI model, and it is directly accessible by an end user. And it is accessible through the software API or the terminals. Here the end user is a person who interacts with the product daily. That is, for example, office clerk using the software. And API, it is the application programming interface, which is a set of rules and the protocols which will allow one software application to talk to another. That is, it will act as a translator or a middleman here. And the applications which are initiated from this layer are the file transfer protocol, that is the FTP, and the emails. And it deals with the user authentication, then identification of communication host, QoS, and the privacy. QoS is nothing but the quality of service, and the protocol data unit which is associated with this layer is the PDU. That is the data. Okay, So the PDO here is the data. Now, what is this QoS? This is the digital traffic management, and it does not magically make the internet faster. It makes the internet smarter. Okay, by prioritizing the important data so that the real-time parts of our lives work perfectly. Okay, and one more thing was here user authentication. It deals with the authentication of the user. That is a security process that validates the identity of a user who is attempting to access the system. So this was about the OSI reference model, and its 7 layers. Thank you.